Oh,
Welcome back. This is the sentencing of the Parkland school shooter. I'm Janine Stanwood with our legal analyst, Gail Levine. Court is back, so let's listen.
Where dog whistles are being emanated from this courtroom, encouraging folks to act on those same types of behaviors. This is a sentencing hearing. We are asking the court to direct the state to direct those witnesses to address the matters at hand, and that is their feelings with respect to how this particular sentence impacted them and how that will be helpful for the court to render judgment. But to direct any other statements or any other suggestions to the defense and to the jurors to encourage or incite folks to act on those encouragements is not appropriate.
There has been no incitement, there has been no remarks. How you could equate violence, I mean,
I agree, Mr. Weeks.
Talk about is the defendant's violence.
All right, and respectfully, Mr. Weeks, Ms. McNeil, who's lead counsel in this case, has made all of these arguments. I've heard them. There's been 16 people that have testified. Only 2 have made a direct comment to the lawyers. And
you know, Judge, I'm standing here and I see that Jeff Marcus jumped up really quickly. But no one jumped up when people were referring to karma acting in the universe. No one was jumping up when they were referring to the defense children. No one jumped up to try to tap down that rhetoric. That is the rhetoric that I'm talking about. That is what I'm trying to be very clear on. Jeff Marcus, the state, they can hide behind their arguments, but we all are witnessing what is occurring in this courtroom.
Which is myself. I'm a judge,
and
I understand that I'm in charge of the decorum, and I feel that 99% or a great percentage of what has been said has been appropriate. Everybody has maintained decorum, but for a few comments it's best to just move on as opposed to highlight them.
This is true, Judge, but I am witnessing a building of momentum, and I'm encouraging the court to direct the state to tap down on that momentum so it does not reoccur and it does not become a theme. Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, for the record, the only thing the state has said to any of these witnesses when they get up is, would they like to say something on behalf of the victim they're representing? There's been no encouraging or inciting, as Mr. Weeks has put on this record. That is a blatant falsehood and a recreation of the record. As far as no objections being made, it's the defense that could have objected. It's not the state's duty to object to their own witnesses when they're testifying.
Okay. Listen, I've already heard. If you have anything else to say, you can put it in writing at a later time. I've heard from both sides more than once. That's going to be it. I've made my decision. Like I said, 99% of what's been testified to has been appropriate. I do not want to highlight the few things that were said that were perhaps not appropriate, and let's move on.
Judge, I'm asking for 20 seconds next.
You can have as many seconds as you want in writing, and you can put all of your objections in writing. They've been made multiple times from your chief assistant, from Ms. McNeil, and I don't want to hear anything else. I've already heard it. Is there something that has not already been argued?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, exactly what is it?
Judge, before Mr. Schachter took the podium and testified before this court, I wanted to reflect that both Mr. Marcus and Mr. Satz looked at the statement prior to the reading. And so their implicit adoption of what he was saying was improper arguments. And the court should chastise.
Okay, but what you are doing right now is highlighting something and making more of a spectacle. So if your office in general does not want to facilitate or incite violence, then we need to just sit down and move on. That's it. There were 18 witnesses, 16 or 18 witnesses that testified today. There was nothing that was said until Ms. McNeil made her point made, and, we're moving on.
But is the court going to do anything about maybe stopping it from happening again?
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Ms. McNeil, be quiet. When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table, and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Judge, I have no problem because I have thick skin. But once you bring in my children, I think that's highly improper. And it's because of
I didn't even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
For them to comment on my children is highly improper. And for this court to allow that kind of testimony is also improper. I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it. Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line. In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your chief public defender.
He's the public defender, Judge.
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else. To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate. Go to the back of the room now. That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're going to get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same venom that the court is expressing is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning when their children
She brought up her children multiple times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know about my children.
Judge.
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge.
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
Please do not summarily dismiss me.
I'm summarily dismissing you. Go sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
everyone in
Your
this
assistant just
courtroom-
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to endure.
Go sit down. Miss McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice. You have absolutely no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess so I can speak to my attorneys?
We're moving on with the sentencing, Mr. Weeks.
So can I have a brief recess?
No.
Thank you.
It's 1:36. Thank you. State, go ahead and call your next witness.
Mr. Anthony Montalto.
Good afternoon, sir. Is it Mr. Montalto Jr. or Sr. that's going to be speaking, or both?
The third gets to go first.
Okay, sorry, the third. I just was trying to indicate that you were younger. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Please tell me your full name or state your full name for the record.
Anthony Vincent Montalto III.
State whenever you're ready.
Mr. Montalto, would you like to say something about your sister Gina?
Yes, I would.
Please go ahead.
February 14th, 2018. I was at Westglades Middle School in my 5th period class, filming a project with my friends, when I heard a fire alarm over at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I then heard gunshots and ran inside. I sat on my desk and I felt something strange. I didn't know what it was until I felt a large pain in my chest. I realized it was a message saying my sister, Gina Rose Montalto, would not be coming home today. I ignored it out of hope, and I waited until I was clear to go home. I got on my bike, and I rode as fast as I could. I dropped my stuff at the door, and I yelled for my mom and dad. They were leaving to go see if Gina was safe. They told me to wait at home with my uncle. At 10 p.m., they returned as I was eating dinner. They had tears in their eyes. They said she was dead. The worst part about it was, that morning, I did not say goodbye to her. Gina was my only sister. She was fun to be with. She was really smart. She would help me whenever I needed it. I will never have that again. I will never be able to watch TV with her, talk about books with her. Every day, I walk by her room and see that it's empty. Every day, I see pictures and I think about her. Every day I wake up and I remember that she will not be there. It's a great pain that only I feel. To go from a younger brother to an only child in less than 6 hours is a dramatic change for anyone. Every day, I wish I could come home and see her again. Every day, I wish this had never happened. Every day, I wish I had said goodbye like I should have. While this reality I now live in is an unfortunate truth, an even more unfortunate truth is that this country has forgotten who the victim is. The murderer is not a victim of drinking during pregnancy. He is not a victim of mental health issues. He is a murdering bastard that should be made an example by being sentenced to death. He shouldn't live while my sister rots in a grave. The jury has failed the families, the victims, and me. Was this mass murder a victim when he put the gun to my sister's chest and shot her? Was he a victim when he shot her again? Was he a victim when he shot her 2 more times on his second pass? Some jurors may have thought so, but I know he is just a murdering bastard. I'm speaking about this today because I've held my tongue long enough. People have heard from adults and parents, police and medical staff, but they haven't heard from me. A boy whose life was changed in a flash when this murdering bastard chose to kill my fun-loving older sister, Gina Rose Montalto. I hope the jurors that allowed him to live will regret their decision after hearing this from me today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. State would next call Mr. Tony Montalto.
Good afternoon, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Please state your full name for the record.
Anthony Vincent Montalto.
Okay, state whenever you're ready.
Mr. Montalto, is there something you'd like to say on your daughter Gina's behalf?
Yes, there is.
Please do so.
I will begin with some positives by thanking the Eagles Haven team for helping our families endure the hours spent in the courthouse. By thanking you, Judge Scherer, for presiding over the trial with all its twists and turns, as well as keeping the press at bay while allowing them to inform the public. You were as compassionate as the law allowed to our families. Thanks to the state attorneys that prosecuted this case for your dedication, your professionalism, and constant communication with our families. To the Victims Advocates team, thanks for sitting with us, letting us vent our frustrations and answer an untold number of questions, from what to expect next to where is prosciutto. This case, with 17 innocent students and teachers murdered at school, is why we have the death penalty in Florida's laws. If the jury had followed that law, if the jury took in the evidence presented, there is only one logical and fact-based outcome. Sadly, the jury ignored the facts and went with emotion. They worried about how they would feel if this murdering bastard was put to death by the state of Florida for committing this heinous crime. They were selfish and misguided and allowed prisoner number 0893407 to avoid the punishment he deserved. The jury was worn out and did not want to be sequestered. The jury instructions were complex, and I believe these factors combined and led to a less than thorough deliberation process. Did they consider what kind of message their verdict sent to our nation's students and teachers when they found a way to excuse the murder of Gina and the others? Did they consider how they would explain their verdict to the siblings of the victims, as my wife and I struggled to do? The current requirement for a unanimous decision for a death verdict is tough to meet. It allows one activist juror with preconceived bias against the death penalty to swing the case in favor of evil. Once one juror shows sympathy, decides that they can't live with the tough decision to hold a murderer, and in this case, a mass murderer, accountable, it relieves the others and allows them an avenue to avoid voting for the death penalty. The vote is not to put a random individual to death. It is called the death penalty because it's supposed to be imposed due to the actions of the convicted murderer. Assuming that's supported by facts, as the jury acknowledged clearly in this case. An interesting historical fact is that now two of the most infamous mass murderers in Florida history, Ted Bundy and this murderer of my child and 16 others, did not receive a unanimous verdict of death in our state's courts. Perhaps it's time for the state legislature to make a change, back to a simple majority or perhaps a supermajority of 9 votes out of 12, to impose the maximum punishment when the aggravating factors warrant it. This would be more fair to the victims. My beautiful, bubbly, and kind daughter deserved to live a happy and full life. She should have been protected at her school from the monster sitting here, with no less than, 6 BSO deputies, as he enjoys the protection of his rights in this courtroom. I applaud the court and the prosecution team for following the ideals of our justice system, as the evil murderer enjoyed a fair trial. I don't believe the case was fair to the victims. The court allowed the defense to show every aspect of prisoner 809-3407's life prior to the execution of Gina and her classmates. Pictures showing his smiling face, while at the same time claiming life was so tough it justified the mass murder of innocent students and teachers in school. Our families were prohibited from bringing photos of our murdered loved ones to the courtroom. We couldn't even wear bracelets or pins to court to represent the victims.
Hey everybody, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find another stream. I don't know what happened to this one here. Let's see, is this live? Well, something must have happened. Oh, wait. Huh. They cut the dude off. I guess.
Our families were prohibited from bringing photos of our murdered loved ones to the courtroom. We couldn't even wear bracelets or pins to court to represent the victims. Our families were prohibited from bringing photos of our murdered loved ones to the courtroom. We couldn't even wear bracelets or pins to court to represent the victims.
And then that's it. Huh. They must have cut him off. See, I mean...
And with extreme prejudice. He deserves the same treatment throughout his stay in the state penitentiary system.
Second.
He has had a lot of help throughout his life, and yet he chose to attack our nation's future by shooting up a school. The murdering bastard that took my daughter's life has benefited from the grace and protections of every system our society offers. He should now be placed in a correctional facility where he is forced to interact without those protections. The misguided jury thought prisoner 089-3407 was failed by society. To be clear, the system, schools, mental health professionals, law enforcement, and now the justice system failed my daughter Gina, her classmates, and her teachers, which he chose to murder. A planned, cold, calculated, heinous attack where the monster chose to pull his trigger 139 individual times. Today, the court prepares to sentence this admitted mass murderer, being preserved and extended. However, because the legacy and greatness of the victims formed by our damage is being preserved and extended, resilient families, because Stand With Parkland succeeded in formed by our damaged school safety clearinghouse. Yet amazingly resilient families begins a 3-day succeeded in creating the federal on how to school safety clearinghouse schools, which today begins a 3-day national summit on how to protect for my wife America's schools, my son Anthony, and our entire family. We, as for my wife Jennifer, my son Anthony, and our entire family, we will honor her memory. We will remember Gina every day. We will honor her memory to make our nation's schools safer for other students and teachers.
And the Gina
We
Rose
will work
Montalto
to make our
Memorial
nation's
Foundation
schools safer for other students and teachers.
will help others
achieve their goals.
And the Gina Rose Montalto
Spread
Memorial
kindness.
Foundation
Will help others
and keep
achieve their
Gina's
goals.
light shining
Spread
for
kindness
all in this world to see.
and keep
Gina's light shining for all in this world to see.
Judge, may I have a moment to
Thank
see?
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Montalto. Judge, may I have a moment to see who else we have? Thank you. Your Honor, that's it for witnesses for today.
Your preference is to start at 1:30?
Your Honor, that's it for witnesses for today.
Okay, and then tomorrow, your preference is to start at 1:30, if I'm not mistaken?
1 o'clock, 1:30, whatever the court's desire.
Okay, does that suit the defense? All right, we'll start at 1:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Tomorrow, we're in recess for today. Thank you.
With Tony Montalto and his son both giving pretty eloquent statements about how much she meant to them. And of course, they used the language that they used to describe the shooter. Many of these family members have not been mincing words at all.
No. I would say, though, that any of the siblings that got up really show a tribute to sibling love. And it's really, it's almost beautiful, and it sort of did choke me up because we forget how important siblings are to one another, especially when they're in their teenage years and they're fighting and they're arguing. But it looked like these parents did an amazing job of family values.
The siblings, listening to them was absolutely heartbreaking. Not only Tony Montalto III, but also we heard from the sister of Elena Petty, who talked about having to think about her little sister getting gunned down, getting shot in the chest multiple times.
And kneeling over her grave.
You know, you can see these family members hugging each other. That young man was very poised, considering everything that he had to say today. I want to just bring it back, though, quickly, Gail, to when we came back from recess at about 1:30. We saw Gordon Weeks, who's the public defender, who basically addressed the judge and said, listen, some of the language used by some of the family members, they are addressing the defense attorneys directly. He thought that was inappropriate and thought that could perhaps incite violence or outbursts, considering the sort of volatile nature of things today.
Correct.
Was he warranted in raising that concern?
First of all, Mr. Weeks is an elected official. We all, as Broward County residents, we vote for him as part of elections every 4 years, just like we vote for the state attorney and you vote for Harold Pryor or his opponent. I think that it belittled Mrs. McNeil, who handled the objection well. I think that Mrs. McNeil is a very experienced lawyer, and she did have her say, although the judge wasn't listening, in my opinion, because the judge really wasn't moved by what was said. Remember, judges hear lots of things they're not supposed to. That's why they're the judges of the law, not the judges of the facts.
And so the judge in this case said, listen, the vast majority of what has been said has been inappropriate, yes, or has been appropriate. A couple of the parents said some things that maybe, but instead of highlighting it, let's move forward.
Right, because really what would have been, the judge isn't going to consider anything that they're saying about the lawyers. She has her own opinions about the lawyers, and she's not going to decide the sentence based on the lawyers. That would be completely against the canons of judicial ethics. But what the public defender really forgot was if they weren't going to say it here in court, where were they going to say it? Outside in the press conference, which is possibly going to reach even more people? I think that by highlighting it and by saying it, it really made them look small. I do want to say, and people that know me would say, that I have been yelled at in a courtroom before.
Right.
Yeah. But never have I seen a judge make a defense attorney leave the table. And I have to say, he did the wrong thing. He spoke of her children. I don't know whether Judge Scheer has children or not. I don't know her.
Well, she said that he said, listen, I think these parents are bringing up the children. Why are they bringing it up? It's inappropriate.
He said they're bringing up my children, and she said, I don't even know you. I don't even know if you have children. Why are you even talking about that? Making a big thing about it. And then he said, well, what if they brought up your children? And he was confrontational.
And that was it. And she kicked him out.
Oh.
Was that inappropriate? Her raising her voice and kicking him out? No.
I think that she needed to get him away from the council table so that she could proceed, because I think she was kind of boiling over at that point. But I think that just absenting himself or saying, look, take a break, go out, I think that later on he could have gone into her chambers with the state, apologized to her, apologized for saying that, and she would have allowed him back in the courtroom. I think it was a moment of explosion that we don't often see in a courtroom. I certainly wouldn't want to be that gentleman feeling that wrath of the judge, because it's embarrassing and it shows that you really did lose control. And as a lawyer, you're really not supposed to lose control. You make your arguments and you go on. Mrs. McNeil made her arguments. I thought that Mr. Weeks coming forward made her look weak. Like, why did she?
Because she's bringing in the big guns. She can't handle it herself.
Why did she need the boss to come in?
Right.
You know, handle your own problems.
Listen, there are 17 victims, 17 who were wounded. Big defense team, big prosecution team, lots of personalities. I guess it's inevitable that some fireworks are going to happen, and they did today.
Yeah, and you heard them say earlier, oh, we tried to get to the chief judge to say that we didn't want this to happen. Well, they should have had their little thick skins on. You know, we say trial lawyers have to have a thick skin. And the judge really called out the public defender's office and said, listen, you brought up your own children in arguments, so you opened that door, and you have said things and made an inappropriate gesture, which many of us did see and were very offended by, just as lawyers ourselves, that somebody would do that. And she called him out on it, and I think that she had reached the point where she wasn't going to let it slide anymore.
Tomorrow we are expecting a relatively short day. They're going to begin at 1:30. A handful of other loved ones will speak, and of course we'll be here for it every step of the way. So we'll see you tomorrow at 1:30.
In a very vulnerable position by coming in and sharing about my pain, which I'm very private about, and telling everybody how much I suffered, which I tried to put aside to honor Elena's memory, and I feel it ended up accomplishing nothing here. My main reason, though, for not wanting to speak was that I didn't want to give you the opportunity to enjoy more of our family's suffering, which you've admitted that you wanted to see. This entire ordeal has pushed me to my emotional, physical, and mental limits. It will continue to do so for the rest of my life, even more so now that he has escaped being punished to the fullest extent of the law, as I believe he should have been.
Good morning, Ms.
Knowing
Nixon.
he gets to live
Please
out the
raise your
rest
right
of his
hand.
natural life.
Do you solemnly swear or
Something
affirm the
Elena doesn't
testimony
get
you're
to
about to
do
give is the truth, the whole truth,
because
and
of
nothing but
his
the truth?
disgusting and
Thank you.
violent
Please state your
actions on
full name for the
February
record.
14th,
Inez
2018.
Maria Hickson.
He has escaped this punishment because a minority of the jury was given the power to overturn the majority decision made by people who were able to see him for what he is, a remorseless monster who deserves no mercy.
I've waited 4 years, 8 months, and 18 days to come forward and finally address everything that's been churning inside of me for a long time now.
To knowing
I'm sure
what he did
every
and
family
described it
member
in
here feels
horrific
the same.
detail. A person has to be
But
incredibly sick to
I
want to hurt
admit
another
that I've
human
been a
being.
coward, and I've
Even
hid
sicker to dwell on
from
the
a lot of
desire
this for the last
and craft
4
a
years,
plan,
8 months, and 18
and
days.
unimaginably able to execute that plan,
Because
which
for me,
didn't just hurt people but ended
I
lives.
still struggle to this day
To add
to
insult to
fathom.
murder, he was even arrogant
My
enough
mind cannot
to
fully
plan a
grasp how
disguise,
this could
believing
ever
that he
have
would be able
happened.
to escape his actions
Because
as
my
my
story is a
sister
little
lay
bit
dying on a
different
classroom
than
floor,
everyone else's.
unable to escape his bullets.
On February 14th, 2018,
This incredible darkness that he has within him, which has been labeled here as mental
I
illness,
was
is something
deployed on
that
United States
should be
aircraft
considered
carrier
unacceptable
off the
and
coast of
intolerable.
Iran.
Yet, in this court, we have shown the world
On February
that if one
14th,
stretches
due
the
to
truth,
time change,
they can
I
get
flew
away with
my
not only
usual
murder, but
flight,
mass murder.
and I never
Every
got the chance
single
to check
sick,
my
twisted
email
little freak
from my husband.
hiding
as
in
is
their
standard
room, searching
procedure.
things on the internet like mass shooter hype videos,
By the time February
videos of
15th,
mass shootings,
came around,
police response times, etc.
and I
Now
said
look
I
at
read
this
his
case
email, I will
and
never
say to
forget it.
themselves, all I have to do is claim
Babe,
mental illness.
I'm on the way to the airport, but my dad didn't make it. He's dead. When I finally got the chance to call my husband
An
off the
incredibly
ship,
dangerous and ridiculous
the first thing I
precedent
said to him was,
that has been set here.
did they catch
will
the
affect
car?
the lives of children
Did they get
across
the
the
guy
nation.
who got him, who ran him over? I didn't get a chance to read his
The
previous
defendant and I are the
emails
same
that told me
age.
what had happened.
And I can say for a fact that at the time
My husband was at the airport at that time,
he was old
making
enough
his
and
way over
mentally
to
aware enough
Florida
to
from
understand
where he
the
was stationed
permanence
at the
of
time.
death, what that meant. He understood how much it hurt from his own
And when he
personal
told me what had happened,
experiences. And he
I
fully
collapsed to the
understood
floor.
what the consequences would be for murdering someone, yet he chose to do it anyway. I could sit here and complain, as he has, that I've had a hard life. I was bullied in school. I've lost 15 family
By the time I
members
made
and
it back
loved
to
ones
the United
since I
States,
turned 9,
4 days later,
to sickness, suicide,
I entered my
accident,
mother-in-law's
and now
house.
murder.
And it's a
Not
scene I'll never
once
be
have
able
I
to
ever
burn off my
turned to hurting
brain.
others as a solution to make me feel better.
That
Because I'm
night,
not a coward.
when I finally
I'm
had a
not
moment
weak.
alone with my husband,
However,
and we had the
after
chance to
witnessing
chat,
these proceedings, it appears
there's
to me
another
that we
thing that I will
coddle,
never
protect,
forget.
and even
And the
reward
thing that
weakness
my
and
husband
evil
said
in a
to me
person.
was, I just
I have
wish
tried to turn the other cheek.
the killer
so
had
many
talked to my
times
dad.
and stay strong throughout.
I wish he had
Elena's
reached
murder
out
and
to him,
everything related to
because
this
my
case
dad would have shown
afterwards.
him the love
So
that he
much
so
so that I
desperately
feel like my
needed.
cheeks are bleeding.
My
I'm
dad
still here trying
would
to do
have
the
given
right
him the
thing
guidance and
stick
support
up for her memory.
that every other person failed to give
I
him.
have relived Elena's murder,
And that's exactly who Chris Hickson was.
No one that's up
Beyond
here right
everything
now
that
could
everyone
imagine
has
what it's
said,
like to have a
he
little
would have
sister
given the
murdered.
shirt off his back. He was
And you
a
cannot begin
courageous,
to
loving, and wonderful man.
understand the depth of pain
And I
that
never
it is to relive
got
it
the
in a
chance to
very
tell him
public
that.
setting, surrounded by strangers. I have heard the gunshots that killed her through the speakers in here. I have
So I came
listened
up
to
here today,
the medical examiner describe the fatal
not
gunshot
necessarily
wounds that he
for me,
inflicted on my
but for Chris.
14-year-old baby sister.
and not just for Chris, but for all the other victims who deserve to know that they will be remembered, and that unfortunately, I'm not the only service member
I
that
gave
has
a
had to
victim
go
impact
through the
statement
laws and
earlier in
murder
this trial
of a
in an
family
attempt to
member
follow
in
the law
recent
and
years
represent my sister's memory.
due to the
All
plague
that's left of
like
her.
him that
Only
are
to be met with myself and
becoming
my
a cancer
family
in our country.
and 16 other families. Of
As a
the
service member, I
defendants'
took an
murder
oath
victims
to
being
defend the
accused of
Constitution
only
of the
trying
United
to
States
attend,
against all enemies,
looking for
foreign and
revenge.
domestic.
Not once
And to
have
the
I
defendant,
petitioned the
that's
court
exactly
to
what I
allow me
view you
to
as.
kill him myself.
A domestic
We are all
terrorist,
here
and everyone that does these heinous
to
acts
seek
like you,
justice.
because
I am painfully
again,
aware
as I said,
that sentencing
as I
him to
stood
death will not bring
and
her
stared
back,
off the
and I
coast
am
of
the only
Iran
one on this half of
and
the room
defended everyone
that has
in
to
this
go home and
country
live with that
through my
forever.
service, I thought I was the one in danger. But it was my
But what
family
we've been
being
told
slain
here is
back
that
home.
17 lives are worth nothing if you can make enough excuses for your actions.
I wish no peace for you.
He has gotten everything he's wanted in this
I
case,
wish
save 3 more victims. because,
nothing
as
but
he stated,
pain.
his goal was to take the lives of 20 innocent
And I hope
people.
that every breath you
And
take,
we
you
are left
remember
with
that that's a
nothing
breath you stole.
and a slap in the face to top it off. Elena was
You
unable to
stole
protect
Chris
herself
from us.
from his bullets in that classroom.
But
And
we
this
will
court
honor
has
his memory
failed
every
to
single
protect her
day.
posthumous rights, her memory.
So
and
in
her
a sense,
family.
you also gave us a
I
face
believe
gift.
that who you are as a human being is one, how you treat others.
There's a lot more I wish I could say, but I
He
can't
showed no
even
kindness,
look
no
at you
mercy,
right now.
no remorse while murdering Elena. He shot 139 rounds of ammunition in that building. He had
Never think of
138
yourself as a
opportunities
coward.
after his
Please,
first
people
bullet
handle
to
things
stop.
in different ways.
He could have
You're a
stopped
hero,
after the first classroom,
and you have a
after the
beautiful
first
family.
magazine, after the first
You all
floor.
have made such an
But he
impression
chose
on
to
this
keep
court.
firing, to climb multiple
and
staircases, and to continue his rampage
I
because
wish
he was
you
enjoying
the absolute
hurting other
best. You are very
defenseless and
strong,
frightened
very
human
good people,
beings.
and
He shot Elena
you've made a
through the
lasting
heart.
impression
Why?
on everyone. Truly,
Because she didn't
and
pick up
I
enough
thank
hiding
you for your
spot.
service.
Because she
and
wasn't
bravery.
able to escape his life
And your
or fired
dad's
fast
as well.
enough in a moment of intense fear. He shot her multiple times as he did every other victim to make sure that she was dead. That is how he treats other people. Another thing that shows who you are as a human being is your actions when you are struggling. I understand that he believes his life has been hard. I don't think a single person in this courtroom today can say they have had an easy life, yet the rest of us keep trying to do our best, and he believes that he is above that charge. He chose to turn to violence to solve his problems, and is now being protected from the same punishment he needlessly inflicted on my sister, because he's too scared to receive what he exuberantly dished out. The first major event of my adult life was when I was 19, when my sister was shot to death. And now my early 20s are ending with being told that no justice will be done in her memory. That she died, but it doesn't matter because his life wasn't cupcakes, rainbows, and sunshine. He gets daily meals, a roof over his head, and a bed to sleep in now. My sister's body is food for carrion. Her roof is 6 feet of dirt, and her bed is a coffin. She died scared. She tried to hide behind a desk, and he shot her multiple times, as I said, with one of the bullets hitting her in the heart. She died alone on a dirty classroom floor, and whether she suffered for 1 second, 1 minute, or longer, although I can't imagine she lived very long after a bullet tore through her heart, she had no chance of being rescued or saved, and he made sure of that. The building which you all have walked through is where her last breath, her screams of pain, and her blood have rotted away for years. I will never get to say goodbye to her. I will never get to look at her face again or crack jokes with her. The last time I saw her sweet face was when she was lifeless and cold, laying in a coffin. If I want to visit her or talk to her, I have to drive to a cemetery and talk to a plaque with her name on it. He is going to have the ability to see his family and call them. I get to spend the first half of every visit I make to her grave for the rest of my life trying to avoid thinking about how her body is beneath my feet and wondering if I'll see her in another life. Elena will never grow up. He stopped her at 14. She's never going to go to college, get a job, get married, meet any of her nieces or nephews, have kids, or even breathe again. But he'll be able to draw breath, and he has for the past 4.5 years that she has not. And he will get to continue to do so into old age. I believe that one who robs another human being, let alone 17 of them, of their power over their own life, and the right to live out their natural lives, getting to keep both of those privileges is not an example of justice. Thank you.
To the person requires 1, life-threatening crimes, 2, that the perpetrator comes into direct contact with a human victim. That is from Lewis versus State, 398 Southern 2nd, 432, Florida Supreme Court, 1981. Whether a crime constitutes a prior violent felony is determined by the surrounding facts and circumstances of
Justice, Ms. McNeil. Justice, Mrs. Shea. Justice.
Leaving an open question, if this, the worst mass shooting to go to trial, does not deserve the death penalty. What does? To encounter people like you who diminishes the senseless and violent crime committed by this killer, justifying it by stating that he is mentally ill, broken, and brain damaged, showing more compassion, empathy, and humanizing him the way you all pejoratively to us and our killed loved ones during the whole trial, where we patiently, hurtfully, and with composure, we, the families, we, the victims' friends, we, the injured, contain ourselves to voice our pain and outrage towards you all. Watching and listening day by day how embracing arms, note exchanges, signs of affection is like a sadist fetish towards the victimizer. And that is was all made by each one of you. You were delightful to do that. Shameful, despicable behavior by you people, stating loud and clear that killing is not an aggravating factor. Then what it is? We need more to hear from real, honest, and honest people. Mitigating factors did not exist. You understand that? You built it. Evil is in his system, meaning your system. Simple as that. Imposing fear to control the jury's decision toward phrases such as courage over comfort. Do you remember that, Ms. McNeil, when you were wearing white, giving your closing arguments? Huh? Wake up at night and hear your heart. Gave me the strength to this day where the universe grants me and us the opportunity to say what should have been said at certain times. It is not anger or revenge that put me in this position. I want you to listen very well. I am far beyond those feelings. I have emptiness, I have sadness, and I have grief. I am broken. I am broken. I am broken. I am broken. I am broken, and I am broken. And you are all in the same team, because all of us now, we are broken. Me, our family and friends are shattered forever. But within all thoughts, one especially comes to mind at this moment. Karma. karma. This is what you all will face for the rest of your miserable life, because you are all a team. The fact of facing your children, family members, and the society that surrounds you when you confronted with the question, you victimized and defended a child, an educator killer. You all. A school shooter. How about if someone like that comes to our school and kills us? That's a question that you gotta answer someday. You, not me. Victimizing and pleading mercy for this defender, it's on you. On you. On you. Your sleepless nights where you will hear your heart pounding will be filled with regrets, because the only real victims were the ones he massacres, and karma will eventually catch up to you all. Now you, the defender, the killer. The defense said, we dehumanize you. It is far from reality. You are a natural evil killer. I thought that the devil did not exist until death put us in front in this path. You had in your head enjoyment. Listen to me, defender. Enjoyment. While killing my son, Joaquin Oliver, and coming back to him to blow his brain out and splattering his blood all over. This is the recognition you wished for. Your living hell is about to get started. Your share of karma will bite you as well. Joaquin is the king. Joaquin is a legend for what he is and for what he will be. Nice, kind, humble. And you will remember every single day of your life about what Joaquin is. This is all I have to say right now. Let me add something else. Your boss, Mr. Wick, says the sentencing hearing is not only an accountability process, but there are also some cathartic pieces that come from it. So I thought that we were here to solve a problem, not to do a catharsis. Thank you, my honor.